Hi, and welcome to the third video in our C# tutorial series. So in the last video, we looked at different data types and variables. So today we're kind of going to be expanding on that a little bit and looking at constants, which is declared also when you're declaring variables. And also we're going to be looking a little bit more at strings and how we can concatenate them and format strings to display actual messages to our users. So let's go ahead and let's actually go ahead and create a new project here. I'm going to be doing this for the first few videos just so you guys can actually just get a hang of it. So we're just going to call this one variables part 2. Now let's go ahead and let's create that here. So the first thing we're going to want to do once we have this project open is just empty out everything here, and we are going to start with a blank template. And at the end of the file here, I'm just going to add a console.read open and close parentheses. Just this way, if I do run the application, as you guys can see, we just get a nice command window and we can exit out of that. So that works great. So we've seen variables. So what we have seen before is we can declare an integer by using the int keyword and then name it test variable. And we can give it a value of 2. And we could come in later on and always do a test variable equals 5. And then do a semicolon, and then just go and do a console.writeLine. And if we do a test variable, we are going to see that it equals 5. Let me just zoom in here for you guys so you guys can actually see that it did output 5. All right. So we know that we can actually change what variables are equal to. So that works great. Now let's see if we actually declared this test variable. Let's declare another variable right underneath it, and we're going to call it const. So this is the constant keyword, const, and we're going to name it, we're going to give it an int data type, and we're just going to name it test constant equals 2. Now, if we go underneath here and we try to do a test constant equals 5, we are going to see that it does stay highlighted. And this is because we cannot actually change a value of a constant. So even if we did test constant equals test constant plus 1, that still does not work. We are not allowed to increment or change of any way a constant variable. It insert becomes a read-only variable. So we can definitely display that variable. So if we go console.writeLine and we do our test constant, and we just run this here. And let me just zoom in for you guys. So we can see that we do get our 5 for our test variable because we change it from the initial 2. And then the test constant, we can display it as 2, but we cannot change it. And if you try to change it somewhere in your code, you will get an error message saying that you're trying to change a constant variable. So that is pretty much it with constants. Now we're going to be deep diving a little bit more into strings. Because we've seen strings, and strings are quite powerful. We've seen that they have a lot of methods. And so far what we've seen is if we go into a console.writeLine, we can put a string here and we can say, hello, JackedProgrammer. And we could display that to the screen, no problem. So if we actually just zoom back out here. So we did a console.writeLine, hello JackedProgrammer, and we get our hello JackedProgrammer back here. Now, so far, we haven't seen a way to where we can have a variable that stores our name, our age, our country, and then display that nicely to a user. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And there's actually multiple ways to do this with strings. So there's actually a total of 3 real methods, but we're going to be looking at about 5 different types of strings today. So let's go ahead and let's actually just erase this constant because I don't believe that that will really we'll really need that up there. So let's first declare a couple strings here as variables. So let's do a string name, and we're going to give us the name of JackedProgrammer. We're going to put a little semicolon at the end here. We're going to do a string age. Since it's only been 1 year that we're on YouTube, we're just going to put 1. And actually, you guys probably already caught, it's not going to be a string, it's going to be an int for integer because it's going to be a number. And then the string for country. And since I am from Canada, let's just put Canada in there. So we want to be able to display this out to the console all together, basically saying, my name is JackedProgrammer, I've been on YouTube for 1 year, and I'm from Canada. So let's go ahead and let's see how we can actually do that. So the first way is going to be string concatenation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually display this on the console. So string concatenation. And then this way we can see how it looks like. Perfect. And I might want to zoom out actually so you guys can see this example properly. So with string concatenation, we've kind of seen it in the last video when we tried to add 2 numbers together, and when they were strings, they actually concatenated together. So it's really just using that plus operator. So let's take a look at that. So let's do hello, my name is, and then we're going to do a space. We're going to do plus name plus. We're going to do another set of double quotes. We're going to do a little space here, comma. I've been on YouTube for, and then let's do again, plus age plus, and then let's do a double quotes again, years, and then I'm from, and then space, and then plus country. Perfect. And then let's go ahead. There's already our semicolon there. So that is going to be our string. So let's see how this looks like. So there we have it. So let me just zoom in there for you. So here we have it with the string concatenation. We have hello, my name is JackedProgrammer. I've been on YouTube for 1 year. So this we could actually figure out to display year or years. We're going to see that later when we look at different decision methods in C# with the if statements. And then comma, I'm from Canada. So that is perfect. That looks great. So that is the first method of doing string concatenation. Now the other thing, we're doing this directly in the right line. If you wanted to do a string concatenation just for a regular variable, we could do simply string message1 equals this. So that string that we created, and then we could just do simply a console.writeLine message1. Just so you guys can, let me just zoom back out here. So we've actually changed this message here that we had in the console WriteLine. We've changed that directly to a string, and now we're just outputting that string. We're actually getting errors here, and that's because I forgot to delete that parentheses. So if we run this here, we are going to see that it looks exactly the same as earlier, because all we really did was change where it was stored. Instead of going directly to the console.writeLine, we stored it in a string. And we're going to see this example for also the next couple methods here, because they change up after a little while. So the next one is going to be the string formatting. So this one actually changes from when you're just having a write line and when you're actually declaring it as a string. So we're going to be seeing the difference here. So string formatting. Now we can do a console.writeLine. Now in here we can actually put our string. So we're going to do hello, my name is. Now what we're going to do for the string formatting is we're going to do a set of curly brackets. So open and close curly brackets. And inside there, we're just going to put the 0. Then after our double quotes, we're just going to put our variable name, which is just name here, and then semicolon. We're just going to see what this looks like. So here we can actually see very, very well that we can see. Let me just zoom in here for you guys so you guys can actually see what it looks like. So we can see, hello, my name is JackedProgrammer, and as you can see, it just places the name with the index value of 0. So let's actually see for all the other variables here. So hello, my name is, and then 0. I've been on YouTube for, and then we're going to put a curly bracket 1 curly bracket, and we could just actually put it correct here. So 1 year, comma, I'm from, and then we could put another one, which is 2. So as always, this is basically going to be taken in as a array of values. And we always start the arrays at 0. So 0, 1, 2. So we know that for 1, it's going to be 2. And for 2, for 1, it's going to be age. And then for 2, it's going to be country. So if we actually play this here so you guys can see it all. And let me just zoom out here so you guys can see the entire screen. So this is where it is. And then if we hit play here, we can see that it looks exactly identical to the one above, other than the little spelling change that I've done for year instead of years with the string formatting. Now, let's say you wanted to do this, but for a string variable. Now, this would be quite different. So what we would need to do is, I'm actually just going to change it directly from the console right line. So here we would have our string message2 equals, and we're going to see that we get our error as we would probably expect at this point, because all we have now is a string and then some commas with some random variables here. What we need to do is we need to put a string, which is a capitalized S, and then a dot format, and then an open parentheses, and then at the end here after the variables is close our parentheses. And now we will have our string. And then what we could do right underneath here is going to be console dot write line, and we can put our message2. And then if we go ahead and look at that, let's just zoom in real quick here. We can see that it is exactly the same. So when you're doing a string dot format, you are allowed to then set up these variable references and then pass in the variables that you want to put into that string, basically formatting that string with those variables. Now the one last method to where we can use to basically input our variables into our string is going to be the string interpolation. So let me just, again, let me create that line here. So string interpolation, and then let's go ahead and let's do a console dot write line, and let's see how this would work. So when we first do a string interpolation, we're gonna have to declare our double quotes, and in front of the first double quote, we're gonna want to put a $sign, and that's going to basically say that we are interpolating our string. So we can do hello, my name is, and then we're going to again use the curly brackets here, but we're going to see that they change colors. They are no longer that like orange string color that Visual Studio puts strings as, and they turn white. And then we could put our name variable in here, and then we can be I've been on YouTube for, and then once again we can put our curly brackets, put our age here, year, and then I'm from, and then once again the curly brackets, and then country. And then if we go ahead and play this here, we are once again going to see that we get our exact same string. So that is perfect. And then once again, to change this to just create a string as this. This would actually just be as simple as doing string message 3 equals, we leave the $sign there, and then it's just a regular string, and our variables are just like interlaced directly into the string with the curly brackets. And then we can do a console.writeLine message 3. We can play that here, and that should be good. Let me just zoom in here. So as you guys can see, all those are exactly the same. So that would be how we concatenate strings, but now there are other things that we can do with strings. So there's two more that are very, very common, which is going to be a verbatim string and escape characters. Now, escape characters isn't necessarily a type of string, but it is something that you can do with strings to manipulate them. So what we can do here with escape characters is do a console.writeLine, and we can write our line here. We can say this is line 1, and then a let me just zoom out here, a backspace here, and then N. This is line 2, and then another backspace, and then an N. This is line 3. I believe it's backspace tab. This is tabbed on line 3. Perfect. So if we actually run this here, we can see, let me just zoom in. We can see here that we have our line 1, line 2, line 3, and then a tab, and then this is tabbed on line 3. So what it lets you do is it lets you use these backspace and then an N or a T, and there's a bunch of different ways to escape characters. You can find a list on Microsoft's website. I'm going to try to put a link to them down below in the description. But this lets you kind of add some formatting to your string to make it look really nicely. Now, where this causes issues sometimes is actually when you're trying to display a directory path. So if we're actually coming here and we are doing, let's say we want to say to the user, go look at C users test desktop, we can see that we get our little squigglies. And this is because it's detecting that we're using our escape character of backspace, but backspace U, backspace capital T, backspace D is not really a valid entry. So what we would have to do to show our UNC path would actually be to use double slashes. So if we actually run this here, we will see that our double slashes turn into just single slashes because we've escaped our escape character and just showing directly the slash. Now, there is one way that we can actually avoid this altogether, but by doing this, if you do want to use escape characters, this does not work. And this is called verbatim strings. So what we can do here is we can do a console.writeLine, and then we can do an @ symbol with our 2 double quotes, and we can say that this is a verbatim string backspace N that will not create a new line, but, and then I could enter, this will create a new line, and everything will show up as I type it in the IDE. So as you can see, we've done tons of different spaces. We put our backspace N, and if we run this, we are actually going to see that the string, when I actually wrote it down, this is a verbatim string, backtick N. So it did not create a new line right here. That will not create a new line, but, and then you can see where I've done my enter or my carriage return, and then I've continued the line and then did another carriage return or new line with the enter key, and then I just kind of typed it in. So if you want to display something to a user exactly as is. Verbatim strings are great, especially for displaying UNC paths or anything like that, but you do lose that backspace n capability, but you technically still have it because you can just actually hit enter and type it in to the IDE or the script editor, and it will look exactly as is on the console. So that pretty much covers everything with string manipulation and um, constants. So we're pretty much done with variables and data types until later on where we see some new data types that we already know exists from our PowerShell videos and Python, like arrays. So we will see those later on because those are a little bit more advanced topic in C#. In the next video here, if I actually look at what's next, we're going to be looking at operators. So we're going to be looking at all the different types of math operators, and then we're going to be taking a look at methods and functions and how to create them in C# to be able to reuse our code as efficiently as possible. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below. If you guys have any questions that you guys would like to see a video on, if it's going to be useful to a lot of people, I will definitely make a video on it. If I feel like it's pretty specific, I will just answer you directly. So feel free to post those. If you guys want to see a specific C# topic, definitely let me know down below in the comments. And make sure to hit that subscribe button, the like button, and hit that notification bell to be notified when the next video comes out. And I will see you guys on the next video.